Hey everyone, this is a Chibi Hour, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about Destiny and Vault Space. Now, I know I recently did a Vault Space video, but the reason why I'm making this one is because recently we got very disappointing and shocking news from Game Informer basically stating that they asked Bungie about Vault Space and if we will get any additions to space, like new pages and stuff like that, or some kind of, increase to our vault. And their response was basically, no, we don't have that planned. That shocks me. The fact that Bungie has continued to tell us we'll do a better job at listening to feedback. We'll do a better job. Like your feedback means everything to us. We'll keep listening. Shocks me that they're not doing the Vault Space thing. That is probably, I would think, one of the top priorities for this DLC because it's one of those things where, yes, we need space if we're getting more weapons, and everything is infusible from year 2 into the Rise of Iron DLC. So, what's up? Like, what's going on? Like, they could surprise it. This is why, I feel like I'm in denial, because they could surprise us. Like, they purposely said it that way, so then they could be like, oh, Vault Space. Like they kind of did with the Taken King live stream, but they never, I don't think... I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they said, no, we're not doing anything to Vault Space before the stream. Like, they didn't say no. Like, they just kind of, ignored the topic, or they just flat out were like, maybe. I don't think they actually told, a magazine article, interviewer, oh, no, we're not going to have Vault Space. So that's why I just am very upset. And it really doesn't make sense on what Bungie expects out of us, because they say certain things and then they say the other. Well, what I explain by this is that they want us to use other weapons. They want us to change up our loadout all the time, in the sense. That's why they said that they removed elemental primaries and why Gjallarhorn got nerfed, was because they saw everyone was using elemental primaries and everyone was using Gjallarhorn in that mix. Whatever your secondary was all based on what you think you would want, which in most cases was either the best shotgun or the best sniper. And they also removed re-rolling. So take note on that as well. Re-rolling was a thing in House of Wolves where you're able to spend weapon parts and I think Glimmer and some other stuff, and you can re-roll and basically, keep trying to get rolls that you want on a weapon that you recently got that maybe was really hard for you to get. And I would spend through so many materials trying to get perfect roll snipers and stuff. And this helped me because it allowed me to throw away any other snipers that I had that were the same as that one, unless if it had different, burn, a different burn on it, new elemental on it. So that was a big important thing for House of Wolves, but then they removed it in the Taken King, and they probably won't bring it back with Rise of Iron because, again, they said that a lot of people were just running around with the perfect roll stuff. They wanted people to chance getting it and stuff like that, basically grind the heck out of the game. Well, this is the thing. They increased grinding, and they also increased the fact that they want us to use different weapons because there's no, godlike primaries that have elements on them as compared to back then. Now we just have regular primaries, and then we have the select few exotic primaries that have a burn on it. This is bad, because if they're not going to increase vault space, they're adding more weapons, so that doesn't mean the stuff that's in your vault is useless. So you are now going to have to think about deleting some of those things, or probably a pretty good portion of it, because Taken King, it's not like a lot of the weapons were bad. You want to keep a lot of those, and if you have perfect rolls on them, you don't want to get rid of that either. And it's going to be very tough. And I never thought Destiny was going to be one of those games where they tell you, no, don't collect, don't, keep things. It made me feel like they were trying, it was one of those games where we were going to collect and hold on to these weapons and use them. Now it feels like we're going to be limited, and we're going to have to find those perfect weapons. So you're going to see people just always using the same weapons in PvP and PvE, because they're the best weapons, and it makes a lot easier on vault space, and so then you can keep having other stuff. It's shocking to me. It's disappointing and shocking, and I'm in denial because I literally don't accept that answer, like them telling me no, because I'm like, there's no way. Because it's so crazy for me to think about this when they literally speak their mind and say, no, we don't have elemental, we don't have re-rolling and stuff, because we want you to keep weapons and test them out and, not have god roll stuff. So we're going to increase vault space, but we're going to limit you on getting stuff easily, and you're going to have to grind for those things. This is not fair. It really isn't, especially since they're dropping old consoles. And one of the reasons why vault space was never really able to increase was from technical issues with trying to bump up also old consoles to have more vault space. Why was this not a priority? Like, yet their priority is making sure there's skill-based matchmaking in PvP, because that's important. Their priority is to have the DLC, have enough content, even though we don't know how much content there's actually going to be. And they said that they're going to do events, as they usually do, that will have microtransactions in there, of course. But vault space was not important? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Vault space should be going over a lot of these things, because it's one of those technical things to be like, yeah, if we're going to have everything in year 2 be infusable into the next DLC, we should probably increase vault space, because they've done it all the time before. Like, when I think they did it with House of Wolves, like before it, like when it released, because they said, yeah, you can use Etheric Light to bring up all weapons from year 1. So what's their excuse with this DLC? Like, what is happening? And I could say that they may, down the road, increase vault space, but that's not the point. The point is that they should do it right away with the DLC, because we're going to start collecting weapons. We're going to be testing out weapons. We're just going to keep them to mess with. Like, we're not going to know what's the good weapons. Like, right now, we know what weapons are bad or good. Like, at least most of us do, because we played enough of this game, and there's been a lot of, like, topics of people talking about what the best weapons are in PvP, and so on. But when the DLC first came out, we had to take the time to look at everything and mess with these weapons to really understand what are the best weapons. And since there's no re-rolling, we don't just look at a weapon and say, hey, I got 3 of these, I'm going to delete the 3. No, because you want to test out those rolls first, because you're not going to get those again. Like, there's a very slim chance you will. And there's a very slim chance you'll get that weapon again, because there's so many. So I have no idea. This is really crazy, and it disappoints me. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you would probably think the same, like, just being like, whoa, what? Why? This makes no sense. Like, they're not increasing vault space? Like, what's the point? Like, what is the reason behind why it was not a priority, and why they can't, if this is true? So, I mean, if they, down the road, were like, just kidding, vault space, then I'll be like, whew. But at this moment, we pretty much have confirmation. The only response about vault space, and it's a negative one, saying no. Like, there is no other, like, any articles or any interviews where they were asked the question and they said maybe, or gave us some kind of hope, or where they ignored the topic, ignored the, anything of, like, saying that it's a yes or a no, to give us kind of like a mysterious thought that, oh yeah, maybe that is what's gonna happen. This is disappointing. There's so much new stuff, at least I think so. I mean, even just, like, think about it. There's gonna be a whole new set of Iron Banner stuff. So, again, you're gonna be collecting those things. That's already going to take up a pretty good amount of slots in your vault. That is just Iron Banner alone. That does not include the Trials gear. That does not include the Raid gear, and even new vendor weapons, which will probably be a thing as well. And that does not include any sort of new other things. Like, whatever it could be. Like, they could, I think they have, like, probably special weapons and armor of being an Iron Lord. Like, there's Iron Banner gear, and then there's, like, Iron Lord stuff or whatever. I'm not entirely sure, because I didn't fully read everything that was dumped in information, but again, it doesn't matter. That's a lot of gear and a lot of like things that we're not going to be able to fit in our vaults. We're not going to have enough room. It shocks me. It really does, and I'm in denial. Like, I don't believe it, because that's like if they were to say, "Yeah, we're gonna have a $40 DLC, but there's not gonna be a raid in it. Like, there's not gonna be a raid at all." Like, people would be in denial, being like, "What? Then why are we spending $40? Like, what's in this DLC?" It doesn't add up. Like, the priorities for this DLC, if they're gonna have Infusion, should be vault space, having enough quest lines and story missions to satisfy for length into, replayability and playing like through the stuff to unlock everything, and also having some kind of like afterthought of like events and things that will still be relevant and have enough game content that's replayable, that will be interesting enough and reward enough to want you to continue grinding those things. So then it doesn't get stale very quickly, because since this is probably not going to be as big as the Taken King, so we're going to be wanting a lot of like reasons to go back to all of this other content, than feeling like it's not worth it. So again, like, it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't make sense to me. And the fact that they did say that they got rid of re-rolling and also elemental primaries and nerfed Gjallarhorn and did all these other things because they were like, we want Guardians to mess with weapons and really just, not stick with always the same stuff. We want everything to be like, important and special and have a reason of using it. So then there's not just one set of armor and weapons that people will be using. It's really, really scary. It really is. And actually, I'm going to be talking about another concern that I'm going to have that will coincide to the fact that, this DLC could be a bust if they don't listen to feedback, which I'll talk about in the next Chibi Hour. But in the meantime, this is a very disappointing time, because we basically were told no about vault space, and I'm not deleting anything out of my vault until I actually know for a fact we're not getting any space. And yeah, so it sucks. But thanks for listening. Let's hope that Bungie, realizes that we really need this, and a lot of people have their feedback about this. Like, we've been dealing with everything else that they've been throwing at us with removing re-rolling and stuff, but this time it's like, why are you removing things and then not giving us vault space if you want us to grind more? So I don't know, but thanks for listening. Chibi out.